every time I open the comments on our last video about why Hollywood will never make an SCP movie, I see the same thing coming up. Hollywood shouldn't even make an SCP movie. They should make a TV series. Instead of a movie, it should be a show with one SCP per episode. You need seasons and long-form storytelling. The conversation even spread to Reddit recently. And look, you're not wrong. SCP's vast lore seen through the lens of a long-running prestige television series seems like a match made in heaven. But here's the thing that a lot of people still don't seem to realize. A big-budget SCP TV series is even harder for a studio to greenlight than a movie would be. But not for the reasons you might think. You're probably thinking, but wait, SCP seems like the most TV-ready horror universe that's ever been created. I mean, take your pick of format. Monster of the Week? Check. Long-form deep lore horror tales? Check. A writing format perfect for self-contained seasons or episodes? Check. SCP is the perfect playground for pretty much any kind of TV series you could possibly want. So why isn't HBO, Netflix, Prime Video, Hulu, Apple, or literally anybody else giving this the time of day? Let's break it down. Again. Oh yeah, we're double dipping, and this time we're dipping even deeper. I'm Zach from Keter Labs, an indie studio focused on closing this gap between the SCP Foundation and big budget media. Starting with an SCP Containment Breach feature film made by fans for fans. You can watch our 10-minute proof of concept short film on our channel right now. People really dig it. I think we're onto something here, guys. I really do. I think we're onto something. But before I get into why we're starting with an SCP movie instead of a series, I want to have some fun with this premise. So congratulations. You and I are now producing partners. We are going to make a pitch for an SCP Foundation TV series, and we're taking it straight to Netflix's executive suite. First, let's break the story based on your suggestions. You made it extremely clear. The only real way to adapt this universe is through an anthology series. And honestly, I get it. You cannot shove 10,000 anomalies, the Foundation, MTFs, the O5 Council, Rogue's Gallery of GOIs, a dozen different canons, and 15 years of lore into a 2-hour movie. But maybe you could shove that into a series. TV needs filmmakers to shove something in front of your face every week, or at least on a semi-regular basis, and that is not a problem for SCP's lore. The Foundation has enough stories to last until the sun explodes, or starts turning people into hostile, gelatinous goo. So on your recommendation, an anthology like Black Mirror or Love, Death, and Robots is the way to go. But if there's one thing I've learned about crafting a successful pitch, it's that you should make it easy for the financiers to say yes. With a Twilight Zone-style episodic anthology, you're basically starting a new story from scratch every week, which is probably going to inflate our production design and locations budgets. So I think a happy medium for our pitch is a seasonal anthology like American Horror Story or True Detective. We can work with a single cast and reusable props, costumes, locations, and VFX workflows for each season. In fact, speaking of hostile gelatinous goo, someone suggested When Day Breaks for our show. And I think that is a capital idea, so let's run with it. It's The Last of Us meets Annihilation. The sun has changed. Its light now turns human bodies into conscious liquefied biomass. Society collapses in hours. Every second of exposure becomes a death sentence. Mutated flesh creatures shamble through suburban streets. Brief billowing clouds are lifelines from the oppressive amber glow. The SCP Foundation scrambles to hold the world together. A site director crushed by the family he couldn't save. A field operative refusing to abandon a doomed rescue. And researchers documenting every horror for a future that may never exist. Hunted by the sun itself and haunted by the voices of the melted, the SCP Foundation's final mission becomes simply bearing witness to the end. As for Season 2, we're thinking Adventures of the Tickle Monster. Now that's a great story pitch, but we also want to pitch what it'll take materially to produce this thing. Now something like a Netflix original series usually costs between $5 and $8 million per episode for a drama, and anywhere from $8 to $12 million for a genre program like ours. For one episode. Again, we want to make it easy for them to say yes. So let's call it an 8-episode seasonal engagement at a cost of about $3 to $5 million per episode. That means we need roughly $32 million for our SCP series. Okay. All right. At this budget level, When Day Breaks is probably going to look more like network cable TV than a prestige event, but it just goes to show how much cold hard cash you need to produce even the most modest of TV series. Congratulations, kid. You are no longer a YouTube commenter. You are now officially a Hollywood producer with multiple projects at various stages of development. That's a screenwriting joke from back in the day. Now let's see what Netflix thinks of our pitch. This looks phenomenal, guys. It hits the same quadrant as The Last of Us, and it's got a visual hook that no one else is doing. I mean, the sun goo thing, how did you come up with that? It's brilliant. We have a very large and talented writing team. Now we're ready to sign on the dotted line, but we did get caught on one small element, something about this license thing. Don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. You're gonna make a ton of money. Well, okay, it seems like you guys know what you're talking about. Here's your $32 million. Don't screw this up. Oh, we're gonna screw it up, all right. But how? Our When Daybreak show is surely gonna put up numbers, right? Yes. Yes, it will. It will put up numbers for Netflix. It will also put up numbers for HBO, Prime Video, Hulu, Apple TV, and pretty much everyone else in the streaming game. Once When Daybreaks is out there, the real problems start to arise. Just like I mentioned in our other video, but this time it's even worse. Because it's an SCP Foundation show, HBO is going to be spawn camping our episode drop every single week. Their tech guys are going to be circling like vultures, 360 no-scoping the episode or even the entire season if Netflix uploads it all at once. They're going to be uploading it to Max before the Netflix stream even hits 1,000 views. Viewers are going to be like, oh hey, Max has that new SPC show. I thought that was a Netflix exclusive. I guess not. Grab the popcorn, honey bun, it's skipping time. So now Netflix is left holding a serious bag. They have just produced an entire season of television and effectively donated it to every single one of their competitors. But how can those competitors do this and get away with it? Do you remember that little license called Creative Commons Share Alike 3.0 from the last video? Every single SCP Foundation creation, from a drawing to a film to a piece of writing, must follow these rules. Anyone can copy, redistribute, build upon your creation as long as they give you credit and they release it under the same license, even commercially. Not negotiable. Because of its licensing, the SCP Foundation IP is completely antithetical to the entire business model of modern streaming. Exclusive streaming rights. Without exclusive streaming rights, the entire industry falls apart. And guess what's the one thing that isn't legally allowed in the SCP Foundation license from the jump? That's right, exclusivity. The only reason studios produce TV shows is to give you a reason to subscribe to their service. Imagine you could get the long-awaited new season of Stranger Things on any streaming platform of your choosing. Why buy Netflix at that point? Doesn't matter where you watch it. Netflix would look up SCP immediately after our first call and find this out. They would stop us before we even got in the door. But just for kicks, here's how Netflix would actually tear apart our pitch. So my business exists because of subscriptions, foreign distribution, exclusive streaming rights, back-end sales, merchandise, licensing, home media, season renewals, and franchise exploitation. Yeah, I guess you know better than we would. And you're asking me to commit season-long writers' rooms, production offices, multi-year VFX contracts, actor deals, editor teams, showrunners, season renewals, international rights, streaming exclusivity, back-end revenue, etc., etc.? Yes. While anyone can take the season and rebroadcast, redistribute, upload, sell, package, bundle, reprint, re-release, make their own sequel episode, make their own Blu-ray, and keep 100% of the profits, among other things, legally? That's correct. Get out! So now our only option is to do like the rest of the SCP community does and just finance it ourselves independently. But remember, we're asking for $32 million for a low-budget, 8-episode, single season of a high-concept sci-fi horror series like When Day Breaks, while maintaining our expansive vision. If you know some kind of masochistic car dealership owner who wants to set on fire a bunch of money, send them our way. Even though an SCP series would work great creatively, because of the licensing, it would financially just be a disaster. What really happens when a studio likes SCP as a property is they will rework its core concepts and genre into something that they can actually own. An original IP of their own creation, like Control or Cabin in the Woods. Now, those kinds of properties are really cool, and often I like them a lot, but they're distinct. They're their own things. They're not proper SCP stories. And I want an SCP story. Here's a real-world example of this exact scenario playing out. If you're an SCP fan already, you're probably familiar with Quantum's novel, There Is No Anti-Memetics Division. Brilliant, mind-bending book, classic SCP Foundation story. Definitely worth a couple of reads at least, as long as the cognito hazards don't get to you first. By the way, SCP filmmaker Andrea Joshua Asnikar adapted this novel in a 4-part miniseries. It's really incredible. You should check it out. I've got it linked below. The publisher, Ballantine Books, actually wanted to sign Quantum for this SCP novel. Ballantine is a part of Random House, and if you aren't familiar with Random House, they're one of the most powerful and prestigious book publishers in the world. And here's how that conversation went. Quantum, baby, we love Anti-Memetics Division. We want to publish it, but here's the skinny. We are a business, and we cannot abide by this Creative Commons bullshit. So, dear author, we will publish your book as long as you are willing to rework your entire novel to remove all references to this SPC thing. And it turns out Quantum was willing to do that. The Ballantine edition is out now. It's the same story, but Quantum replaced the SCP Foundation with an original stand-in organization. And the SCP version is now out of print. I probably have to sell this soon. And to be clear, I'm not knocking Quantum's decision at all. I think it's a great opportunity for them. But it goes to show this is a huge problem, even just for a book release. And a book release is nowhere near as expensive as cinematic media like movies or TV shows. So is there any hope at all for that kind of studio level SCP content? Well, we've now spent 2 videos pretty clearly demonstrating that the prospects do not look good. You might even go as far as to say they're completely hopeless. But people who know me know that I do not take no for an answer when it comes to the things that I believe in. And I believe studio level SCP cinema is possible. I hope it's obvious by now that I've spent a lot of time researching and thinking about this topic, and there is only one format where SCP's share-alike license doesn't completely demolish the business model. It's gotta be a theatrical film. That's the only way. For one simple reason, and that is you can't bootleg an in-person theatrical event. I mean, obviously you can. People have been sneaking cameras into theaters for decades. But is HBO gonna bother putting a bootleg recording on their platform? No, that's stupid. Is another cinema gonna screen a bootleg? Absolutely not. They're just gonna ask us for the theater-ready files. Theater owners won't care about the Creative Commons thing as much as they'll care about one question, and that question is, will SCP put butts in my empty seats? And for something like the SCP Containment Breach movie we're working on, people will show up. Between Chris Stuckman's crowdfunded Shelby Oaks, Kane Pixel's Backrooms movie for A24, Markiplier's Iron Lung, the box office success of the FNAF movies, and our own SCP short showing at prestigious film festivals, it definitely feels like an exciting time for fan-backed theatrical internet horror. If you didn't know that Markiplier is putting his Iron Lung movie in theaters next month, he gave a great breakdown of how the theatrical business works in his latest live stream.
If enough people are asking for a movie, then they will show that movie. They will even do it for movies that wouldn't normally be in the repertoire. If enough people go like, I want to see Ratatouille in a movie theater, they'll figure out a way to do it. They want you to get tickets. They want your money for the tickets. They'll show you whatever you want. That is absolutely how it works. If you think that it's any fancier than that, it's not. That is how it works.
But in order to screen a movie in theaters, first you have to go to the trouble of producing it. And as we've discussed ad nauseum at this point, investors are not going to be interested in funding an SCP movie. So fortunately or unfortunately, crowdfunding is really the only tool that anyone has to make that happen. And to be clear, we at Keter Labs are not going to be asking for $32 million. With our proof of concept short, we wanted to show you that we don't need studio level financing to make a studio level film. So we hope you support us because this is really the only way that the world ever gets to see any kind of long-form studio quality SCP content. And who knows, I mean, if the Containment Breach movie is successful, that might create more opportunities for SCP filmmakers to make more real deal movies, and eventually, maybe, a prestige SCP TV series. We've got some very exciting announcements coming about the full film leading up into our Kickstarter. I don't want to hype things up too much at this stage, but maybe 1 or 2 pretty mind-blowing collaborations on the docket. Fingers crossed. And we're working on a behind the scenes video essay and a couple other things for the channel. So subscribe, sign up for the email list at thescpmovie.com, and let me know what other SCP media topics I should cover. I would love to talk about any kind of topic in that realm that you guys want to hear about. That is it for today. Excelsior.